What's going on there, everybody? Hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, today's video is actually probably going to be the most positive video I've posted in a long time for Black Ops 6 because, as you guys know, I've been begging, absolutely begging for a meta shift in this game for 3 full seasons. Now, I will say that is unacceptable. The meta should have been shifted and fixed before Season 1 even dropped. But, you know, what happens, happens. We are finally here. And let me tell you guys something. The recent patch that has been introduced for Season 3 within Black Ops 6 has finally shifted the meta. I had to give it a handful of days. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to come right out and say, yeah, you know, these new guns are phenomenal and absolutely clapped out the meta. No, you have to let the community settle in a little bit, unlock the new content, grind the new content, and then see afterwards how they are still handling it. And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you guys something. Surprisingly, Treyarch actually cooked. But ladies and gentlemen, before we go and dive deep, if you guys are interested in more content just like this, don't forget subscribing to that bell. I post daily here at 8 Eastern time. And of course, if you guys are interested in my live streams, I stream Monday through Saturday over on Twitch, starting between 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern time. Of course, if you guys are interested, gonna link the channel down in the description of this video. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to showcase to you guys this gameplay to kind of point out that the Jackal is still viable. They might have nerfed the living crap out of it, but it's still a very valuable SMG, and it serves its purpose as being a fast-paced SMG. But the reason that it was so overpowered beforehand is first, the damage range, being able to outgun assault rifles, you know, at their territory with a little tiny SMG was absurd. And secondly, the recoil control, not having to put on barely any attachments to handle the recoil. And on top of that, being able to pair that with the damage range, you could literally outgun the aims in almost every engagement if you decided to rock the Jackal. But they nerfed them both. First and foremost, they nerfed the damage range. And, you know, they didn't mention this. They, nerfing the recoil pattern, but they nerfed the recoil pattern as well, and it has a bit more kick. Well, they did mention they nerfed some of the attachments for recoil, but they didn't mention the actual recoil pattern for the Jackal was going to be, you know, increased and be a little bit more crazy. They didn't say anything about that, but apparently they did, and you could definitely feel it the second you put it in your hands. And like I said, it doesn't feel bad. It's still fun to use, but you could tell. The second you try it again, you will tell that the range difference has been just nerfed tremendously. And you must finally think like an SMG player while using the Jackal. It's no longer an ultimate hybrid. You have to play as an SMG player. So ladies and gentlemen, first and foremost, they did a phenomenal job with that. But on top of that, they dropped like what? 2, 3 rifles technically into this game. The AMAX, Growl, and also the Kilo got dropped within this season. And all of them are absurd. I mean, starting off with the Kilo is pretty much the aims, in my personal opinion. Just a little bit more convenient. So we have a little bit of a shakeup there. The meta for the aims is being challenged by the Kilo. So you see a lot of Kilos being used within these lobbies. And let me tell you guys something, you see no Jackals. In the time span of like 5 to 6 days, I've seen maybe 3 Jackals being used. Of course, you know, unless you go into rank, then you'll see them, of course. But in pub matches, I see nobody using them. Honestly, the MP5 has become a bit more relevant. People are rocking the PP19 a bit more, the SOG. It's just variety. The PPSH, it's making me so happy. And like I said again, the Kilo dropping into the mix. The aims finally has a true competitor that can kind of hold it back a bit. And that's good because now, like I said, we see variety. Before, every lobby you saw was literally the aims and the Jackal. That's it. I've seen so many different weapons being used now. It just puts the biggest smile on my face. And again, it adds to the variety of the game. The game was feeling so stale because you saw the same garbage in every lobby you joined up in. No variety. This was so needed. Of course, I'll go ahead and flash up my class setup here for the Kilo 141. Of course, as I always say, don't take this bit by bit, ladies and gentlemen. Please make your own classes. You know, use your own creativity. That's the fun of casual COD, right? Using what you enjoy, finding attachments you like, making things fit your play style. But this is a good basis to begin with. You know, the monolithic, I have a mag, you know, a rear grid, so on and so forth. You guys can see with your own eyes. Pretty useful, but again, you guys might want to mix and match certain other features for this weapon to make it appeal to you a bit more. But overall, phenomenal weapon. Then again, the Growl. This is probably the best weapon right now within Black Ops 6, and it makes me so happy because the SWAT got neglected like nobody else's business for 3 seasons, being the worst marksman rifle you could ever think of. And then they bring in the Growl conversion kit, and it turns it into an absolute demon. This weapon right here is phenomenal. probably the best gun in the game, dare I say. I would honestly argue that it's the best weapon in the game, and it's funny, because I don't see too many, like, very sweaty players rocking it right now. I see a lot more of the Kilo at the moment, because I guess it resembles the aim so much. But seriously, the Growl is a demon machine. It has an extremely fast fire rate, so it can deal tons of damage to, SMG players, and it can win almost all the engagements, while at the same time having practically no recoil and great damage on this weapon, so you can beam AR and LMG players, even snipers, across the map. It's like the best of all worlds. I can 110% see this thing getting nerfed sometime in the future. But again, for the time being, it's just awesome to have a meta shakeup. And again, I'll go ahead and showcase my class for the SWAT 556 Growl conversion kit. Not too shabby, but again, like I said, find what fits you best. You can use this as a basis to begin with, but I honestly think you guys will probably be able to find yourself a better class setup. And then finally, moving over to the AMAX, ladies and gentlemen. The AMAX is, once again, another demon machine. The AIMS has so much competition this time around within Season 3. Like I said, it makes me happy because we finally have people using different things. So much different content is being utilized. It's just been phenomenal. But the AMAX is, I want to say it's as overpowered as the Growl, and it's not as convenient as the Kilo. It has a bit more kick. Feels like the AK recoil pattern, just straight up, really. But it's not too bad. It has great damage, great range, and it's very enjoyable, and it feels satisfying to use. So once again, another banger within the meta shakeup for Black Ops 6 Season 3. And again, I'll showcase my class setup here for you guys for the AMAX. You can go ahead and pause it, copy and paste, do whatever you please. And again, change around attachments however you please as well. And I do want to mention one last weapon too. I don't actually have gameplay for you guys. I do apologize, but please check out the AS Val. I'm going to flash up my class setup for you guys really quick. This thing got a buff in Season 3. And it is even better than before. This was already my most used weapon in this game. But I have actually been seeing more sweats and good players pull this thing out and dominate. It's been very pleasing to see because, like I said, I've been rocking it since the very beginning. I have the most kills with this gun on my combat record out of all the weapons, which is honestly hilarious because that's not the best in the game. But I've always loved it, and they made it even better. Basically, increasing the damage range and giving you a bit better recoil control. Trust me. Oh my goodness. It shreds. But ladies and gentlemen, again, the whole purpose of this overall video here is to just share with you guys that the meta has finally been shaken up. This, as I said earlier, has single-handedly held back the Black Ops 6 experience, in my personal opinion. It has easily made Black Ops 6 the most tedious, boring grind fest of the game I could possibly ever think of. Seriously. And we all know Skilly's matchmaking more than likely isn't going anywhere. We can complain about it, and I completely understand. I'm glad people share their opinions about Skilly's matchmaking and all of the above. But when it comes down to it, what's even worse than skill-based matchmaking is when all the sweat lords who are in your matchmaking bracket are using the same thing game in, game out. For the love of God, this isn't ranked. You don't have to only rock the aims and the Jackal, and trust me, I love ranked as well. I've, been playing it in Black Ops 6. It's very enjoyable, but there's no reason ever to bring the ranked loadouts to casual play. As I said in my previous videos, it's a difference between people who might come into casual to warm up before going into ranked, and they play 1 or 2 matches, and then they leave and play ranked for 4 hours. But there are people who literally go into casual, will play casually for like 4 or 5 hours straight, only using the Jackal and the ranked loadouts. That is when it crosses the line. Ladies and gentlemen, what makes casual play so fun is the variety between your matches and weapons, loadouts, all of the above. And for the first time in 3 seasons, when I'm running around a map, I actually see different weapons to pick up. Usually before, every single gun that's on the ground is, like I said, you pick up a Jackal, you pick up an Ames, you pick up a Jackal, you pick up an Ames. And if you just run those guns, you'll have unlimited ammo being dropped on the ground for you. Now, it's all over the place. I see Vals, AMAXs, the Kilo. And for the SMG side, like I said, the Jackal got nerfed, and people are finally seeing that there is better potential out there. I've been seeing the PPSH, the SOG, the MP5 has, obviously rose on up because it was already great in the first place, but the Jackal always, completely outshined it from the ranked competitive scene. But now that the Jackal finally got tuned back a bit, that since we've been begging for this for ages, you see variety. See, we've been calling this all year long, ladies and gentlemen. We've been saying again and again and again, and I've seen many other content creators do it as well. They've been saying it again and again and again, that the Jackal needs to get clapped. We understand, quote unquote, statistically, it's fine, but in reality, it's going to be abused. And the only way we will ever see any variety in our lobbies is if you clap it. That is the only way around it. And they refuse to do it for almost 3 seasons here. We're 3 seasons deep. The meta has never shifted. People have been using the same thing over and over and over. And they finally decide to clap it, and then now nobody uses it anymore. And people are going to say, well, it's because it's new content. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? There was new content with Season 2. There was new content with Season 1. And every lobby was still packed with the same thing, the Jackal and the aims. It is not being used because now it's in its respectful spot. And people are now going to stop abusing the most overpowered gun in the game because it's not the most overpowered gun anymore. So you're going to see variety. And eventually that will shift to something different. But that's casual COD for you. In order to shake up the meta, again, we only have a year here, ladies and gentlemen. They have to just nerf things. They just got to do it, okay? If this was a game that lasted 3, 4, 5 years, we could hyper-focus more so on finding the perfect balance. But when the game is only going to be relevant, basically, for a year, you gotta enjoy yourself like Sledgehammer did with Modern Warfare 3 2023. Every other month, it was pretty much a meta shakeup between having a burst meta, fully auto meta, SMG meta, AR meta. I mean, there were so many different metas throughout Modern Warfare 3 2023. And yeah, it might have annoyed a few because they couldn't keep consistent with the things that they might have loved, but it added variety. It constantly shook things up. You were always seeing different weapons, different things being used. Of course, people are still going to bounce back to the, the usual rank loadouts like the Rival and the MCW, but you saw so much variety in your matches. So much variety. And that is the key to having the casual experience be fun, even if the skill-based matchmaking is going to be up in your face. Because at least you get a little bit of a break when it comes to the loadouts. When you have thick skill-based matchmaking and everybody's using the most insane loadouts every single game, that is the biggest turn-off known to mankind. It truthfully is. And again, I think a lot of people are going to be happy with how this game is actually being handled now and what people are using. A little too late, though, I'll say. Won't you all agree? Season 3, I don't think anybody's going to come back for this. Truthfully, I really don't think anybody's going to come back for this. This is not enough to bring players back into the game to play. But I'm still going to be here to report it. Like I said, I'm going to cover this game from beginning to end, as I do with every COD game. And they have finally got it to a point where there is variety. But 3 seasons deep is way too steep. Modern Warfare 3 fixed their meta within, like, the first month before Season 1 even dropped. This right here was unacceptable, and it took way too long to get us to this point. But ladies and gentlemen, as always, if you enjoyed today's video, leave a like. If you hate it, leave a dislike. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell. I post daily here at 8 in the morning Eastern time. And of course, if you guys are interested in my live streams, I stream Monday through Saturday over on Twitch, starting between 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern time. Of course, if you guys are interested, gotta link that channel down in the description of this video. But as always, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.